Hello and welcome back to another WatchNet tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be talking about your IP NVR system and setting up tripwires for notifications and special recordings. So first off, we're going to actually use a browser. We're going to use the regular Internet Explorer browser because you will need to download a plugin in order to get it to work with your NVR system. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open up the browser. You're going to want to navigate to the IP address of your NVR system and sign in. It will prompt you for the installation of the plugin. Make sure to run it and allow all access. You'll sign in and you should end up with a screen such as this. So this is the preview screen. What we're going to do is switch over into the setup where we can see our one outdoor camera. We can change the camera to any of the current activated cameras on the system. In this case, we'll just use this one. You can see a rule is already set up here for an intrusion. If someone is to cross into the area, we can choose either its entry, exit, or both. We set up the time, a period. In this case, it's 24/7, which is by default. And we just make sure that record channel is checked and snapshot is checked. Okay, so let's actually make a rule. So let's say we want to detect some crossing. So if we hit a new rule here, and by default it says it's a tripwire. Tripwire is basically just a line, and if someone was to pass that line, so for example, if you're guarding a room or something like that, you can put a line, and if someone was to enter the room, it will detect that and do a special video recording of that event. I often use the intrusion. So if you double click on this tripwire, you drop down, we're going to select intrusion. Okay, so now we're going to actually draw a rule. So we click on draw rule. And let's say that I'm interested in seeing if someone, a vehicle or something comes into the driveway here. So if we click, bring this over here, click, 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 and just finish it off. Okay, so now in this case, we've got this area, and there are two arrows, meaning that if something is to come into this area, it's going to trigger a video, and if something exits this area, it's going to trigger another video. Or we can just say, don't worry about when they leave the area, I just want to know if they've entered the area, or if they've exited the area on any side. Okay, we could even say just appear altogether. So if anything even appears in this corner or whatever, to detect that. But the system is smart enough sometimes that an object may get close, or a body or something like that may be here, but a head is in the area. Often I find it's smart enough to not count that as a crossing into the area, because the majority of the object hasn't actually entered that area. So just depends on how sensitive you really want this area to be. So we click on period to see. So in this case, it's set for Sunday to Saturday, 24/7, and we can change that schedule here. So then we just make sure record channel is checked, and we make sure snapshot is checked. The snapshot is necessary for notifications to like your mobile device and stuff like that. So if you have the pro version of MVS, make sure you checkbox this to be able to get those notifications. And really, that's as simple as I would make this. So when we hit OK, the rule is successfully saved, and we now have two areas that we're tracking. This particular area I like to track to see if there are anybody who approaches the vehicle, for example, during the night. Then I can immediately detect that and action that as necessary. Okay, so now that we've got the rules set up, if we go back to preview, and we're just going to double click on that camera, and we can see our rules in action. If something was to walk around, or a car, there would be a green box around it, and as it started to approach the area, as soon as it entered the area, this blue would turn red, and a special recording would happen. So as a matter of fact, we look at some playback here, and if we we'll go to the second here, and we'll pick camera 1, and down here, so we can see all activity. I have 24/7 recording, so that's what all the green is. But if we want to just narrow it down to, for example, just those special tripwires, so I can checkbox the IVS here, uncheck regular, and now we can see all these orange spots where it's detected someone who has crossed that line that day. To make it simple, I can click here on File List, and I can just double click and we can see it. Or if I double click here, you can see, okay, coming up to the car, and we can see, and boom, it is triggered because the majority of that object has entered that zone. And so on and so forth. So that is a basic overview of setting up your tripwires or intrusion areas. Feel free to explore the system, but yeah, have fun with it, and we'll see you next time.